With the legalization of marijuana here in Canada, I noticed a rise in frequency of a very specific historical misconception, and I want to talk about that today. This misconception being that marijuana is a part of traditional First Nations medicine. I've even heard some people go so far as to describe it as the fourth sacred herb alongside the sweetgrass, sage, and tobacco. This misconception is categorically false. There's no half-truth here. Marijuana is not a Native American plant. I want to talk about where the seeds of this misconception came from. I think it has to do with the term Indian hemp. It's well known that Indian hemp is something that was cultivated quite widely across North America. Right? People cultivated it for the cordage. The cannabis people, they say, okay, well, open and shut case. Open and shut case. Indian hemp, Indians had hemp. There we go. We go a little bit deeper. What is Indian hemp? Indian hemp is Apocyinum cannabinium. I probably butchered the first part of that. Bloody Latin. Or no, Sino. Is that Greek? That might be Greek. Okay, whatever. Apocyinum cannabinium. That's the sciencey word for Indian hemp. There you go. Open and shut, isn't it? Right? It's got cannabinium in the name. So clearly it's just another variety of cannabis. Right? Now, the proper word for cannabis, I think, is Cannabinium indicum, which is Indian hemp. Right? So it's the same word. Right? The stuff over there is Cannabinium indicum, which translates as Indian hemp. And the stuff over here is Indian hemp, which translates as Apocyinum cannabinium, right? Open and shut case. Except that Apocyinum cannabinium is not in any way related to cannabis. This is a picture of Apocyinum cannabinium. This is a picture of Cannabinium indicum. These are both Indian hemp, but only one of them is the hemp you're thinking of. The more common word for Apocyinum cannabinium is dogbane. The term Indian hemp is a colloquialism. It comes from its use for string, same way hemp was used for string. And the scientific name comes from the colloquialism. I thought the purpose of scientific names was to minimize confusion, but here you go, it's created confusion. Let's talk about what dogbane is. If it isn't related to marijuana, which is how I'm going to refer to marijuana from here on in, if dogbane isn't related to marijuana, then what is it related to? Well, it's most closely related to milkweed. Right? It's got the same feathery seeds that float around. It's got the same stringy stalks. It's got the same milky sap, and it's got the same poison. The name dogbane is not just a fancy turn of phrase, right? It's called dogbane because dogs eat it and then they die. Every part of the plant is poisonous. If a human eats enough of it, it will stop his heart, right? It's poisonous. Now, true, it could be medicinal. It could be medicinal. Right? Some parts of it you can even smoke. However, you don't smoke the leaves and the buds. Right? What you smoke is the roots after blanching them and then drying them out and grinding them into powder. And the roots don't get you high. Right? They're a mild analgesic, I think. They don't have anything in common with marijuana. Now, there are some people who do a bit more research than just looking at the words. Right? There are some people who do not argue that Apocyinum cannabinium is marijuana. Some people who have done the bare minimum level of research. Now, these people argue that there is a Native American version of marijuana, and it just went extinct due to persecution by religious fanatics. Now, they have a couple of pieces of evidence for this. These pieces of evidence go something along these lines. I think it was Jacques Cartier. Right? He's observing a people along the Atlantic coast, and he describes that they have a variety of hemp which is of similar quality and quantity to our own. Okay, there it is, cast iron case. However, for that to be a cast iron case, we have to assume that Jacques Cartier is a really good botanist. He knows his plants, and I don't know that he does. Right? We also have to assume that he's not lying, we also have to assume that he's not mistaken. Right? Now, it could be that he saw some string, some rope, and he thought, oh, this is a good hemp rope. This is good rope. It looks like our own hemp. Okay, they must have hemp here. It could be he saw some plants from his boat that looked like this, that, and the other thing. Right? It's not a reliable source. He's not a botanist. He's an explorer and a soldier. He doesn't draw illustrations of this Indian hemp to bring back, present to the Royal Society. Right? Now, here's another example. So Champlain, when he's describing the Iroquoian armor, he describes it as being made of cotton thread. I can guarantee that the thread was not cotton. Right? There was some trade for cotton, but it was really bloody expensive. It had to come a long way. It had to come a long way. Now, if you're going to trade something, I don't think you'd trade thread. I think you'd trade cloth. And if you were going to make this armor, you wouldn't use cotton because it's not as strong as sinew or milkweed. Right? So we can say categorically that Champlain was wrong in his assessment. So why is it so unlikely that Cartier was incorrect? Right? Just because Cartier wasn't a registered biologist, that's not necessarily a reason to doubt him. But the reason to doubt him is that there hasn't been really anything since then to corroborate that. He's not picturing some specific item from a bygone era. He's picturing something that should have continued into the next phase of the world, right? He's picturing something that, in order to explain its absence, you need to come up with a conspiracy theory of people who went through the woods and picked out all of this native plant, right? Killed every single example, right? Systematically, right across the whole continent, even in those isolated bits of old-growth forest out in the middle of nowhere, right? Right? That's the reason to doubt Cartier. I think I've made my point. To reiterate, there's a lot of different things called Indian hemp. The one from India is marijuana. The one from North America is dogbane. Dogbane does not get you high. It is poisonous. It is not related to marijuana. It's related to milkweed. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.